What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another video today. Got a good one for you guys today, man. And it's a beautiful day today. Let me just say that. It's 75 degrees outside and it's not sunny. Those are like the perfect days, right? Because when the sun is out and it's like 75 degrees, it's kind of hot. When it's cloudy and it's 75 degrees, it's like perfect weather. It feels so good outside. So in this video today, man, what I got for you guys is, should you buy a 1999 through 2004 SVT Lightning in 2025? Now, my truck's an 04 and I bought it last year, so that was 20 years old. Anyways, I'm gonna be a little biased here, guys, right? I bought a 2004 Lightning when I could have bought a million different things in the price range, right, that I was in. My price range at the time when I bought this truck was under 30 grand. So there is a lot of options you can buy, right? Under $30,000. There's a ton of cars you can buy. Obviously, the more you go up, the more options you get. Simple as that. But that was my budget. You know, if you don't have a budget, oh, there's a lot of things that you can buy. Ooh, a lot of cool stuff, right? For sure out there. I think this has probably been like this would be a very smart purchase on your side if you were to buy an SVT Lightning 99 through 04, right? I'm not talking about the first gens, the early 90s, or the new ones. I wouldn't buy the new ones. Those are trash. The new electric Lightnings, trash. They should have called them something else. They ruined the name by putting Lightnings on the new trucks. But anyways, yeah, I definitely recommend buying one, guys. Now, I got a few reasons why I think you should buy one. I think the first reason we're going to start with is they didn't make a lot of these trucks, right? These trucks, I think they made like under 20,000 of them total. And, you know, you got to think about all the ones that have been destroyed, all the ones that have rebuilt titles, all the ones that have high miles. You know, obviously those are not worth much anymore. But like your lower mile, clean title ones, yeah, those are worth, and especially the later years, like the 03 and the 04s, those are worth a lot of money. So if you can get your hands on a Lightning, if you're doing it for a business side of things, I really don't see cars as investments. They're not really investments, but there are some cars that you can consider investments. And a Lightning is something you would consider an investment. A low mile, clean, no SVT Lightning, oh my, and especially if it's a later year one, yeah, like that's going to be an investment one day. Think about like 30 years from now, what these trucks are going to be worth, right? Because they're only going to keep declining in the amount that there are. They're not going to make any more, right? They can't. They stopped making them 21 years ago. So if you're looking at in the business side of things, I definitely recommend buying one. They're only going to get worth more. Obviously, then you're going to have to spend some cash. You're not going to be able to get a loan on a truck 21 years old or older, right? The oldest one will be a 26-year-old, the 99 Lightning, right? You're not going to be able to get a loan. I think banks offer up to 18 years. You'll get a loan. They'll give you a loan for a vehicle up to 18 years old. So that's a 07 or newer. That's one thing. That's one of the reasons I think you should. It can be a really good investment for you, especially in the long run, if you hold on to it, whatever the case may be. Another reason I have is these are supercharged trucks. How many other vehicle manufacturers are making supercharged single cab, rear wheel drive trucks? You know, this is a sports truck. This is competing with your Viper SRT 10 trucks, which are the 05 through 07, I believe is the years. And those came manual, by the way. Those are cool. But yeah, that's what you're competing with, is like your sports trucks or sports cars. Like your Mustangs, your Camaros, your Vets, your Trans Ams, right? Those cars, right? Sporty cars, your Chargers, Challengers, etc. You get what I'm saying. Technology has came a long way. The new stuff drives better than the old stuff. Some vehicles, I think the new Mustangs and like even the new trucks, they handle a lot better than the older stuff. But if you want like a raw feeling vehicle, something that feels just raw, it doesn't feel like so like, oh, I guess you call it safe, right? We'll say that. Because the new cars, they just feel safe. Even when you put throttle, you know, they've done a lot of test driving on them to make them to what they are. But yeah, that's what you're competing with, is sports cars. You're not competing with your single cab 5.3 Chevys or your GMCs or your 5.7 Rams. They're in different categories. Those are NA. They're not supercharged. They're not fast, right? These Lightnings are quick. Even the new Coyote single cabs, right? The new ones with the 5.0. Those trucks are quick, man. They're making almost 500 horsepower to the wheel. Like, they're cranked. So they're making about mid to low fours to the wheels, which is pretty good for an NA truck. That's more power than the Lightning, and it's an NA vehicle. So that just tells you where they're at now in today's game. I think another thing you can put into consideration. So far we got what? They're going to be an investment. So the business side of things, you get a supercharged single cab rear wheel drive V8. And another huge thing that you got to think about is People, when you see these trucks, you're like, wow, that's a Lightning. You know, they're not as common because not everybody can get them. Not everybody has the cash to buy one. Not everybody can find one for a good deal. People are asking for a lot of money for the Lightnings, and that's just how it is now, right? As stuff gets older, as time starts to go by, things are only going to get worth more. Like your Terminators, right? Those cars are worth a lot right now, man, and they're only going to get up in value and stuff like that. So I would definitely say, if you want something that nobody else has, I would definitely try to get yourself into a Lightning. You know, they're kind of rare. You don't really see them out here. I think I've seen one, and maybe it's because summer hasn't started yet and it's still kind of in the season. But it's been nice for a while. Like, it hasn't snowed for a little bit, so to me it's like you're gonna start seeing them. And if you do, cool, man. Like, you could love to see it. You know, you have a very special truck, so it's way cool. Just think about having something that's part of history. You know, SVT, you know, that's what the special vehicle team. It's cool, man. You're having technically a part of history. Owning like a Terminator, owning a Lightning. Like I told you guys, I'm gonna be a little biased, man. I'm a Ford guy, so I'm for sure gonna tell you guys should buy one. So I think they're a good deal. If you can find one in 2025, I definitely recommend. And man, the driving experience, just driving a supercharged truck, man, let me just tell you, it's a cool feeling. Like, you hear the whine, the supercharger. Yeah, you don't get the best gas mileage, but it's okay. You don't buy a supercharged truck to get good gas mileage. You know, if you're buying a vehicle to get good gas mileage, you probably should buy a 4-cylinder little Honda Civic or something like that. Don't get nothing sporty. You're not going to get good gas mileage out of anything sporty. Now, the newer stuff, the newer muscle cars and stuff, I think they get better gas mileage, but nobody ever leaves their sports car stock, so that stuff starts to deplete, and it also depends on the way you drive your vehicles. If you're always beating on it, man, you're never going to see good gas mileage, right? But then again, that's a sports car. It's how it's meant to be driven. Another thing I'm going to tell you guys is the competition you're competing with, right? If you're looking at a vehicle under 30, 40 grand, you can get a Lightning. Yeah, that's what you got to put into consideration when buying one of these trucks, is you're competing against other sports vehicles. If you're not really into trucks, buy a Mustang, buy a Camaro, buy something along those lines. If you're looking to buy just a new car that's 30 grand, like, I don't know, a Toyota Corolla or a Subaru, a WRX, something along those categories, right? I mean, I guess that's cool too, right? Everybody has different reasons for buying certain vehicles. But a Lightning, man, this is a piece of history. This is, if you own one, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, it feels cool just driving one. You know, just to know that you're driving an SVT made vehicle is freaking amazing. Just like I told you guys, I'm going to be a little biased. So if it was up to me, I would definitely buy a Lightning again. And I definitely recommend buying one. If you can have the opportunity to get one, man, buy one. If you're looking at something that's like kind of reliable and pretty quick from factory, man, I would definitely recommend buying a Lightning. You know, they're pretty reliable all the years for the most part. It's just a spark plug thing in the older ones. If you have the opportunity to buy one, I would definitely buy one. You're buying a piece of history. You're not just buying any vehicle, right? Anybody could buy a brand new truck. Anybody could buy a brand new car, right? Why do you want something everybody else has, right? Why wouldn't you want something that's a little bit of history, a little bit of a number? You have a numbered vehicle, technically, is what you have, right? Because they only made so many. So technically, you have a limited vehicle. It's a cool feeling knowing that you have something now and not everybody else has, and they're only going to get harder to get as time goes on. So if I were you guys, I would definitely recommend getting one of these. Or I think another thing that we got to look into when you're buying a Lightning in 2025, have like a family and stuff like that. Yeah, I probably wouldn't buy something like this unless you have other vehicles already there, right? If you're buying a 2-door truck, 3-seater, and you have a wife and like kids, I mean, yeah, this is probably not the best purchase, right? But why would you be looking at a Lightning if you are worried about your family not fitting in there, right? That's not what they're for. It's a sports truck, so it's not really meant for space and stuff. Definitely going to recommend to you guys, if you guys are looking at buying a sports truck or something sporty in general, I would definitely consider buying an SVT Lightning, right? Supercharged V8, rear-wheel drive. It'll burn rubber if you wanted to. It'll make a lot of noise if you wanted to. And it's a pretty good daily driver. So I definitely recommend driving an SVT Lightning. If you're looking into buying something sporty or even daily driver. But just know, if you're going to be buying a daily driver, I probably wouldn't be beating on it all the time, especially because you're not going to be getting good gas mileage. If you're buying something like to be like your sports car and you already have kind of a little bit of a daily or something like that, oh man, I would consider one of these for sure over a sports car. Especially because in a Lightning, you get the bed. You have the bed space. So you have the truck, right? That's where you get the truck component. It has a bed. Now, the bed isn't super big, but it's still bigger than a trunk in a sports car, right? So this all depends on what you're trying to get into, right? If you're looking for something that you can use as a truck and you have a ton of power, you can do some hard rips, you can smoke people, whatever, if you want to race, whatever you want to do, man, definitely recommend buying a Lightning. You know, and they look super good going down, especially when you put a little lower on them. They look amazing. So that's just me. Like I told you guys, I was going to be biased. But there's nothing wrong with buying a sports car either. So it just depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a daily driver, it all depends. You know, the Lightning could do it all. I think the only thing you wouldn't buy a Lightning for, or a sports car in general, is if you want to use it for the mountains or off-road crap like that. Yeah, no, these are not your vehicles for that. They have other type of Baja and cars and stuff like that that are meant for that off-road use and stuff like that. So you also got to take that into consideration if you're looking into buying something more for that route. Yeah, don't buy a Lightning. I'll tell you that right now. So yeah, guys, I recommend you guys buying the Lightning, man. It's a piece of history. You know, you really are buying a piece of history. You can see it as an investment because it's only going to be worth more one day. And it's a supercharged V8. Like, who doesn't want a supercharged V8? Right? Everybody always wants a supercharged V8, right? Everybody wants a boosted car, right? It just naturally aspirated stuff is pretty cool and stuff. Right? Ooh, check out this truck. Screamer. Diesels are cool too. If you're into diesels, you could buy one for under 30 grand for sure. That's gonna be it for today. I highly recommend you guys buying a Lightning in 2025. You know, 21 years old is really not that old. Even 26 years old is not that old, right? These ones have AC. They don't look as outdated. I mean, if you look at it, it doesn't really look as outdated, you know, as the newer cars. Like, it has a cruise control, your on and off side. You know, I put an aftermarket stereo on here. This truck has AC. You got your plug-ins, you know, stuff you would get in a newer truck. Obviously, it has more plasticky type stuff, and you know, it's not as, I guess, high tech, you would call it, you know. But this truck was, you know, they made a pretty good truck here, is what I'm gonna say. That's going to be it for today's video, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Catch you guys on the next one, man. Peace.